Imagine being told by your teachers that you would never become anything important. Imagine struggling to speak as a child. Imagine spending years unemployed, rejected, and watching your family sink into financial disaster. Now imagine that same person growing up to completely change humanity's understanding of space, time, energy, and the universe itself. This is not the story of a genius who was born successful. This is the story of a curious child who refused to stop asking questions. This is the story of Albert Einstein. When most people hear the name Einstein, they think of wild white hair, a tongue-out photograph, and the famous equation E equals mc squared. But behind the icon was a deeply human being, a man who suffered failures, a man who experienced heartbreak, a man who battled rejection, a man who forgot where he lived, and a man whose imagination became so powerful that it transformed modern civilization. Today, we're diving into the complete story of Albert Einstein's life, struggles, discoveries, relationships, and legacy, because the truth is far more fascinating than the legend. Chapter 1. The Child Who Spoke Late. March 14, 1879. In the German city of Ulm, a baby boy entered the world. His parents named him Albert Einstein. At first glance, there was nothing extraordinary about him. In fact, some family members worried something might be wrong. Albert's grandmother reportedly thought the infant's unusually large head looked strange. But what truly concerned his parents was something else. Albert barely spoke. Years passed. Most children were already speaking in complete sentences. Albert remained unusually quiet. According to family accounts, he didn't begin speaking fluently until around age 3. His parents feared he might have developmental difficulties. No one could have imagined that the silent little boy would eventually become one of history's greatest thinkers. Yet even before he could properly explain his thoughts, his mind was working differently. Albert had an intense curiosity. He wasn't satisfied with simple answers. He wanted to know why things worked. And once a question entered his mind, he couldn't let it go. Then something happened that changed his life forever. When Albert was about 5 years old, he became sick and had to stay in bed. To comfort him, his father brought him a small gift, a pocket compass. At first glance, it looked like a simple object, but when Albert tilted it, something strange happened. The needle always pointed in the same direction. Again, and again, and again. He couldn't understand it. There was no visible force, no strings, no moving parts, yet something invisible controlled the needle. Years later, Einstein would describe this moment as one of the most important experiences of his childhood. For the first time, he realized that unseen forces existed beneath the surface of reality, and from that day forward, he became obsessed with discovering them. Chapter 2. The Rebel Student. Many people believe Einstein failed mathematics. That story is completely false. In reality, Einstein was exceptionally gifted in math. By his mid-teens, he had already mastered advanced concepts that many university students struggle to understand. So why did teachers dislike him? Because Einstein hated authority. The German education system of the late 19th century was rigid and military-like. Students were expected to memorize information without questioning it. Einstein couldn't stand that. He constantly challenged teachers. He questioned accepted ideas. He wanted explanations rather than instructions. Some teachers viewed this behavior as disrespectful. One teacher reportedly told him that he would never amount to anything. Another complained that Einstein's presence undermined discipline in the classroom. But Einstein wasn't trying to be rebellious. He simply valued truth more than obedience. And that trait would later revolutionize science. While other students memorized facts, Einstein imagined impossible scenarios. He would ask questions such as, what would happen if I could ride alongside a beam of light? Could I ever catch it? What would I see? These strange thought experiments became the foundation of discoveries that would eventually reshape physics. But before changing the world, Einstein first had to survive it. Chapter 3: Poverty, Failure, and Rejection. Life became increasingly difficult for the Einstein family. His father's business struggled repeatedly, financial problems piled up. Eventually, the family moved several times searching for better opportunities. Meanwhile, Albert pursued higher education. He entered the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. There, he met someone who would dramatically influence his life, a brilliant Serbian student named Milica Maric. She was one of the few women studying physics at the time. They bonded over science. Together, they discussed mathematics, thermodynamics, and physics late into the night. Their intellectual connection quickly evolved into romance. But while love was growing, Einstein's career prospects were collapsing. After graduating, he expected to become a university professor. Instead, disaster struck. His professors disliked his independent nature. Unlike other students, Einstein often skipped lectures and preferred studying on his own. As a result, he failed to secure academic recommendations. One by one, opportunities disappeared. Months turned into years. Einstein searched desperately for work. He sent applications across Europe. Most went unanswered. Others were rejected. He lived in near poverty. At times, he couldn't even secure a stable income. Letters from this period reveal his frustration and despair. The future looked bleak. He had a university degree, he had talent, he had ambition, yet nobody wanted to hire him. Many people would have given up. Einstein didn't. Finally, after years of struggle, a friend helped him secure a position at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. At first glance, it seemed like a dead-end job. His task was simple: review patent applications, evaluate inventions, approve or reject designs. Certainly not the career path of a future scientific legend, or so everyone thought. Because hidden inside that ordinary office, Einstein was preparing to change history. Chapter 4: The Miracle Year. By day, Einstein worked as a patent clerk. By night, he pursued physics. Unlike university professors, he wasn't trapped by academic traditions. He had freedom to think, freedom to imagine, freedom to challenge accepted truths. Then came 1905, a year now known as Einstein's miracle year. In just 12 months, he published 4 scientific papers. Each one was revolutionary. Most scientists spend entire careers hoping to produce one groundbreaking idea. Einstein delivered 4 in a single year. The first explained Brownian motion. This provided strong evidence that atoms truly existed. The second paper explored the photoelectric effect. Einstein proposed that light behaved as individual packets of energy. Today, we call them photons. This work would later earn him the Nobel Prize. The third paper changed everything: special relativity. It challenged humanity's understanding of space and time. For centuries, people believed time flowed equally for everyone. Einstein showed that wasn't true. Time could slow down. Lengths could shrink. Reality depended on motion. The implications were astonishing. Then came the fourth paper, a short equation, just 5 symbols: E equals mc squared, perhaps the most famous equation ever written. It revealed that mass and energy are different forms of the same thing. A tiny amount of matter contains an enormous amount of energy. the world would never be the same. Yet, remarkably, almost nobody noticed at first. The greatest scientific revolution of the century had begun quietly from the desk of an unknown patent clerk. Chapter 5. Music, Imagination, and Genius. People often imagine geniuses spending every waking moment working. Einstein was different. Music played a central role in his life. His mother introduced him to the violin when he was young. Initially, he hated practicing. Everything changed when he discovered Mozart. Suddenly, music wasn't a chore. It became a passion. Einstein named his violin Lena. He carried it almost everywhere. Whenever he became stuck on a difficult scientific problem, he would stop working and begin playing. Hours later, he often returned with new insights. Many friends observed this pattern. Einstein himself believed music helped him think. The structure and harmony of compositions seemed to unlock new perspectives. In many ways, Einstein wasn't just solving equations, he was imagining them. His discoveries emerged not from endless calculations, but from vivid mental pictures. Instead of asking what equations predicted, he asked what experiences would feel like. What would happen if you rode on a beam of light? What would happen if you fell freely through space? Could gravity bend light itself? These imaginative exercises eventually produced some of the most important theories in human history. Einstein showed the world that creativity is not separate from intelligence. It is intelligence operating at its highest level. Chapter 6. The Rise of a Global Icon. During the early years, only a handful of physicists understand Einstein's work. Then came 1915, general relativity, his masterpiece. The theory proposed something astonishing. Gravity wasn't a force pulling objects together. Instead, massive objects warped space and time itself. Imagine placing a bowling ball on a stretched rubber sheet. The sheet bends. Smaller objects roll toward it. According to Einstein, something similar happens in the universe. Planets orbit stars because stars curve space-time around them. It was one of the most beautiful scientific ideas ever conceived. But beauty isn't proof. Scientists needed evidence. Then, in 1919, a solar eclipse changed everything. Astronomers observed starlight bending around the sun exactly as Einstein predicted. The results shocked the scientific community. Headlines exploded across the world. A new scientific superstar had arrived. Almost overnight, Albert Einstein became one of the most famous people on Earth. The once unemployed patent clerk was now an international celebrity. Newspapers called him a genius. Universities competed for his attention. World leaders sought meetings with him. The boy once dismissed by teachers had rewritten the laws of reality. Chapter 7. Love, Heartbreak, and a Hidden Chapter. As Einstein's scientific reputation grew, his personal life became increasingly complicated. Years earlier, while studying in Zurich, Einstein had fallen deeply in love with Mileva Maric. She wasn't just his romantic partner. She was one of the few people who could understand the advanced scientific discussions constantly running through his mind. Together, they dreamed of building a future filled with science, discovery, and intellectual partnership. But before marriage, they faced a challenge that would remain hidden from much of history for decades. In 1902, Mileva gave birth to a daughter named Lieserl. At the time, having a child outside marriage carried significant social stigma. The couple kept the birth secret. What happened next remains one of history's enduring mysteries. Some historians believe the child died from illness. Others believe she was placed for adoption. To this day, nobody knows with certainty. The mystery remains unsolved. Eventually, Einstein and Mileva married and had 2 sons. For a period, they appeared to be building a stable family life. But success often changes people. As Einstein's fame expanded, cracks began appearing in the marriage. Scientific work increasingly consumed his attention. Emotional distance grew. Arguments became common. The relationship that once thrived on shared intellectual passion slowly deteriorated. Then came one of the most controversial episodes of Einstein's personal life. In an attempt to preserve the marriage, Einstein presented Mileva with a list of conditions. The document shocked many historians. The requirements included maintaining household duties, limiting personal interactions, and expecting no emotional intimacy from him. It revealed a colder side of Einstein, rarely discussed in popular biographies. The marriage eventually collapsed. In 1919, they divorced. As part of the settlement, Einstein promised Mileva something unusual. If he ever won the Nobel Prize, she would receive the prize money. At the time, it sounded uncertain, but years later, he kept that promise. Their relationship ended, but its emotional scars remained for the rest of their lives. Chapter 8: The Nobel Prize and Global Fame. By the early 1920s, Einstein had become a household name. His face appeared in newspapers around the world. Journalists followed his travels. Scientists admired him. Students idolized him. Yet, surprisingly, the Nobel Prize was not awarded for relativity. Many members of the Nobel Committee considered relativity too controversial at the time. Instead, Einstein received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. Ironically, one of his less famous discoveries earned science's highest honor. The impact of that work was enormous. Today, technologies such as solar panels, light sensors, and many modern electronic devices rely on principles connected to Einstein's photoelectric research. As fame increased, Einstein found himself in an unusual position. He was no longer merely a scientist. He had become a global symbol of intelligence itself. People wanted to hear his opinions on politics, on war, on peace, on education, on morality. The world viewed him not just as a physicist, but as a public intellectual. Yet, despite immense fame, Einstein remained remarkably unconventional, and sometimes hilariously absent-minded. Chapter 9: The Man Who Forgot Everything. Einstein possessed one of the greatest minds in history, yet everyday life often defeated him. Friends constantly witnessed moments that seemed unbelievable. He forgot keys, he forgot addresses, he forgot appointments. Sometimes he forgot where he was supposed to be entirely. One famous story perfectly captures this side of his personality. Einstein was traveling on a train when the conductor came to collect tickets. Einstein searched his pockets. No ticket. He checked his briefcase. Nothing. He searched beneath his seat. Still nothing. Recognizing the famous scientist, the conductor smiled and reassured him. "Dr. Einstein, don't worry. I know who you are. I'm sure you bought a ticket." A few minutes later, the conductor returned and found Einstein still searching frantically. Again, he reassured him. "You don't need to prove anything. Everyone knows who you are." Einstein looked up and replied, "Young man, I know who I am. What I don't know is where I'm going." The conductor burst into laughter. So did everyone who later heard the story. But the incident revealed something deeper. Einstein's mind was often occupied by cosmic questions. While others focused on daily details, he was imagining the structure of reality itself. Ordinary tasks simply struggled to compete for space in his attention. Another famous habit involved socks. Einstein hated them. He considered socks unnecessary because they eventually developed holes. His solution? Stop wearing them entirely. He attended formal events, academic meetings, and even important social gatherings completely sockless. The world's most famous scientist simply didn't care what people thought. Chapter 10: The Shadow of War. The 1930s brought one of humanity's darkest periods. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power. As a Jewish intellectual and outspoken critic of nationalism, Einstein became a target. His books were burned. His name appeared on assassination lists. Propaganda campaigns attacked him relentlessly. Imagination, courage, and the willingness to question assumptions that everyone else accepts. The legacy of Einstein. More than 70 years after his death, Albert Einstein remains one of the most influential individuals in human history. His theories powered GPS systems. His discoveries helped create modern electronics. His ideas transformed astronomy, cosmology, and physics. But perhaps his greatest legacy isn't scientific. It is philosophical. Einstein showed that questioning accepted beliefs can change the world. He proved that imagination can be as important as knowledge. He demonstrated that failure is not the opposite of success. It is often the path toward it. Remember, the child who struggled to speak became history's most famous scientist. The student criticized by teachers transformed physics. The unemployed graduate changed civilization. The patent clerk redefined reality. Albert Einstein's story reminds us that greatness rarely appears obvious in the beginning. Sometimes the person who changes the world is simply the one who never stops asking questions. And perhaps that's the most powerful lesson of all. Because the future doesn't belong to those who know every answer. It belongs to those brave enough to keep searching for them. Thank you for watching. And if this story inspired you, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who believes curiosity can change the world. Because history proves that it can.